now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everyone, it is Brian Cos here, joined by my friend and business partner, Sean Casey. We have another Marketing Wednesday webinar for you. And this one will kind of be part 2 of what we did last week. So last week, we had a bunch of sites that we basically analyzed from not just an SEO perspective, but also from basically like a business perspective and such too. And on this week, we'll be doing basically part 2 of that. So we have a few more sites that we'll show off and analyze. And of course, we'll leave plenty of time for Q&A if you guys have any questions or anything like that as well. And then we'll give some cash away at the very end as well. And for those that are in the States, hope that your Thanksgiving went well. And yeah, so without further ado, we can get this show on the road. So once again, this is part 2 on analyzing your websites and businesses. And as always, I'm sure most of you know, but for those that are new, we have these calls every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, which is right about now. We'll have a live training and or a Q&A call. And if you're here or you're registered for the series, you'll get a reminder each week so you don't forget. But if you can't make one, we'll have the recordings in the members area within a day of any of the calls under the training tab on the left side navigation bar. We'll click on basically training, and then we'll say Wednesday calls, and you'll click on that and you'll see them sorted right there with the newest ones at the top. Usually it takes about like a day or less for us to get like the newer calls in. So this call you'll see there either by the end of the day or by tomorrow morning or so. And if you want a chance to win $100 live, you can join the free Facebook group here. You just have to go to getwebfire.com/FB group. Again, it's getwebfire.com/FB group. That'll forward you to the Facebook page, or the Facebook group, I should say, which is free to join. You just click join if you're not already a member, and you'll be approved probably within like a minute or two. And at the very end of the call, I'll give you some instructions on how you can actually get a chance to win $100 live on a drawing that we'll actually do live toward the end of this call. So I'll give you some instructions in a bit on that. So now let's move on to our second part of the training, or part 2 of the training, I should say, on how to basically analyze sites, where we'll be analyzing several sites live and giving tips and examples, both from business as well as ranking and such too. So the overview will be, again, we'll have part 2 of the analyzing websites live. Then we'll have a Q&A for any questions that you guys have. It doesn't have to be relevant to today's call. It can be anything that you guys have a question on. We're happy to answer. So we have some extra time left for that. Then we'll do the cash giveaway right after that. So with that, I'm just going to pause the screen for a second as I switch on over to my browser, where we'll see the websites that are from you guys. So we picked several of these sites from you, and let me just change over screens really quick. All right, so this site right here is just, it's Portugal-Luxury-Home-for-sale.com, and they're trying to sell a single luxury house in Portugal. And now there's several things I think they're having issues with right here. So first of all, I know that they said that they're not getting a ton of traffic, and there's 2 main comments with that. One, there's a lot of things that they can do to increase basically their chances of ranking, and 2, if you're selling a single house, you can't expect, especially like a luxury house, you can't expect to get like tens of thousands of hits because there's not tens of thousands of people looking. It's kind of like if I were or Sean were to put our house on the market, we're probably not going to get tens of thousands of clicks to it because there's just not tens of thousands of people in the area looking for our kind of house right here, and this I'm sure might be even a smaller of an area, so you'll get even less. But you don't want to be worried about the quantity of traffic in this case, and in all cases, and you want to be focused on the quality over the quantity in this case right here. And there's several things that you can do, like you can use perhaps several of the lead tools inside of Webfire to try to maybe look for guys in the region that are looking for a luxury house, or even people outside of the region or outside of the country that are maybe looking for like a vacation home, perhaps in Portugal or places near there. So instead of waiting for the leads to come to you and find you, you can go to them. Now, having said that, some of the issues that I have with this right here is just from an SEO point of view. The title tag that you have, which you can look up using the website analysis tool inside of Webfire, but I did that ahead of time, and the title tag that you have is luxury villa for sale Portugal, which is kind of like if I said house for sale United States. Okay, even though Portugal's obviously smaller, people that are in the area are probably looking for a specific region or a specific area. Like if I'm looking for a house, I'm probably not looking for house for sale in the US. I'm also probably not looking for like house for sale in Wisconsin, or even, maybe house for sale in the county, but more than likely house for sale in the general vicinity, like the city, or maybe in your case, if it's, a certain region. Now, if you're trying to appeal to someone outside of the country looking for like a luxury house as like a vacation home, sure, then maybe they might just be looking for Portugal as a whole, but they've probably also done some research ahead of time to kind of know what regions they're most interested in. So you might want to consider that as well, because you say right here that it's the best value luxury property on the Silver Coast, but on the title tags and such, you don't mention anything about that. So you're kind of from a ranking point of view, you're trying to compete with probably a tougher term with every house in the country, even though you're not, you'd probably want to focus on more of a specific region, in the title tag to give yourself a better chance of ranking for stuff in the region right there. The other thing as well are, I'm not in love with the picture choice right here. I like that you have a bunch of pictures down here, but the very first picture I'd show probably, wouldn't be. I mean, it's a nice picture, but it doesn't really show off the house well. Whereas like these, I think, if you had like a slideshow here, that might help there. But yeah, just a small thing right here. I like that you break this out right here. If you're trying to appeal to people outside of the country that might not know much about this area, you definitely want to talk about the area itself. So based upon what you're trying to target in your title tag, which I think is a mistake, you're trying to target basically nationwide there, that is probably more appealing to a person that doesn't know anything about the country as a whole. Therefore, I don't know if this is in the ghetto. Like, I don't know if this is a super nice house where I'll probably get robbed or shot. I don't know if it's a super nice house that has like, maybe it's in a region with only locals that don't speak any English. Maybe it's in a region where there's, a lot of foreigners there, and there's a lot of people that speak English, and I'd really love it in that area. I don't know that, but you don't do any kind of job of really explaining what the region is. So you're kind of like a person that even happens across the site is kind of walking blindly into it. There's not really, a good job of saying, why that's a good place, why it's not. Now, if you're appealing to locals, still it can help talk a bit about the area and stuff like that too. But definitely, if you're trying to go after locals in the title tags, you want to talk about the local region and stuff like that, like luxury home for sale in, and then mention the region in Portugal itself right there. So that's a few things that would help right there. I would also, when you use when you use a headline or a headline like this right here, where you say luxury villa for sale, try to use words that have a chance of ranking. Like you won't rank for luxury villa for sale because you're competing against the entire world. And quite frankly, there's probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of villas. So you probably won't rank for that term right there. So maybe have it be like, luxury villa for sale in such and such coast of Portugal, or something like that, or near this place or near that, like a popular search term that you would know is being searched. Now you could use a keyword tool like one inside a Webfire to try to get like an idea of what people are maybe searching for in that area. Or if you're a real estate agent that specializes in that area, you probably know that ahead of time of what people might search for. So probably just do maybe a better example of explaining that right here. But on top of that too, that's just the stuff on the site itself. The main thing there is, again, I'm not a fan of the giant picture right here that just shows that. But what you'll want to also think of is, what are the chances that someone will randomly search and find your site? You want to make sure that you're, obviously mentioned on all the main real estate sites, because people, nowadays, especially in the US, I'm not sure if it's different out, in the market by you, but I'm guessing it's pretty much the same. If you're looking for a house for sale, you probably don't go to Google and type in house for sale in such and such place. I mean, you might, but in the majority of places, especially in the US and most of the countries I've been to, you go to a main website like Zillow.com in the US, or Redfin, or whatever the main site might be, and you type in the locations that you're looking at, and from that site it shows all the houses there. So make sure you're obviously listed on those main sites there, which will probably be far more important than being ranked in Google. Now it might be different in Portugal, but I'm guessing probably not. So definitely make sure you're there. But more importantly, on top of that too, on top of being listed on those main sites, which get basically all the traffic anyway for real estate type stuff, you can, again, as I said, use the lead tools and such to try to find guys that, again, are looking for luxury homes or villas, or asking questions, or even asking like, it's more of a lawn shop, but you might find guys that are looking to retire in a luxury place, along a beach, but they don't know what country they want to end up in. So I mean, that's a little more of a lawn shop, because you have to convince them of why, basically Portugal might be a better place than what they had in mind. But you can even search the lead tools and such and find guys maybe asking questions on Portugal, like, is it a good place to retire to? Is it a good place to move to? There's lots of people asking all sorts of questions on that. You can find those guys, take a minute or two to basically respond and help those guys out. But one big thing you have to do too is realize that even if someone, like, let's say you find a guy that wants to spend, let's say, a couple $1,000,000 or so, and he wants to retire here, and wants all that stuff. Let's say he looks at this house and says, I really don't like it. It might be a beautiful house. It might be an awesome house that 9 out of 10 people love, but one guy might say, I don't really like that. So you want to make sure that you're gathering that lead info as well, because if you have a buyer that doesn't like your house, you don't want to just say, oh shucks, okay, see ya, because you may have just passed up on tens of thousands of dollars in commissions by not gathering that lead. Like maybe even having like not just schedule a viewing, which you have right there. Maybe have like a button that says, are you interested in any luxury homes in Portugal? Contact me here to see a private listings that you might not find elsewhere. Some kind of incentive like that, where gives them incentive to sign up and for you to actually get that lead. And when you're answering questions, make sure you give like stuff like your email and stuff out, where they can reach out to you if they have additional questions. And spending just a few minutes of your time can get a lot of additional leads and stuff there, because there's guys asking questions on this kind of stuff all the time, even stuff specifically to basically Portugal or any country that you're looking to do this in. The other thing too I found that I thought was really odd. I mean, maybe it's not odd out in Portugal, but I found it really odd, is I didn't see anywhere that has like a price. And I'd find that really odd, because if I'm looking for a house, the first two things I look at are, one, or the first three things. One, I look at, do I like the house itself? Does it look nice? Sure, it looks nice. Two, I say, do I like the region or the area that it's in? And three, do I like the price of it? And you answer, you know, the region and what the house looks like, but you don't really give a price. Now, some places that might not be the norm, but I believe in most it is, and I believe that more and more now people like that being upfront, because if there's a guy let's say this house is a $5 million house. If there's a guy that only is looking for a house in the $1 to $2 million range, you don't want to waste his time, nor do you necessarily want to waste your own time with that, when you can help him maybe find other homes. Whereas there might be a person that happens across this that doesn't know much about that region. They're looking to retire abroad, and they say, oh wow, that must be a $5 million house. And you might say, well, wait, that's only actually a $500,000, or 3/4 of a mil, or whatever it might be. And you kind of scare those guys off because no one knows what that price is. So I would be upfront with that right there. Sean, unless you have any other thoughts on that, we can move on to the next one.
Yeah, my big thing wraps around both what you just said about the pricing, and also someone, even if it's a $5 million house, talking about the value of it versus other properties. Like why this is the best deal in the market, why this is, under market value, whatever it might be, that you can explain why this is such a great deal that everybody should jump on it.
Yeah, that's a great thing too, because it's like everyone says this is a great deal. In fact, I actually just looked at a house not too long back where it was way overpriced for what it was, but of course the realtor was saying, oh, this is an awesome priced house, it's a great deal, when like obviously it's not, hasn't sold in a long time. It's way overpriced compared to comparable homes. So everyone basically thinks that a realtor will say this is an awesome value, a great house, but you really have to explain why it's great too. All right, so moving on to the next one. It's assetchemist.co.uk. So right here is obviously like a pharmacy type site right here. But one of the first few things is the font and stuff here I hate. Like I can barely read what that says. You have like a light kind of black on like a dark background. I can't really even read that unless I like pay really close attention. So definitely fix up that, because it looks unprofessional, especially when you have like a giant image that basically takes up most of the main page there, or most of the main viewing page. You want it to look nice and not look kind of unprofessional like that. The other thing too, I'm not quite sure why the main thing you show is like lice stuff. I mean, unless there's like a major lice crisis there, hopefully there's not. I could see mentioning it, but it's one of the first main things that you show right there, which again, not necessarily bad, but it's also kind of like you have this like huge images and stuff that basically take up a lot of space that don't really give any kind of like a good headline or anything like that. And I'm not quite sure why you have it go from basically the online doctor and the prescription treatment. So I'm not quite sure if you're like a pharmacy or you have an online doctor or what that is, but it looks like you're going back and forth between the head lice and that. So it's a little confusing to me, but it looks like you also sell like a bunch of stuff, but you focus on the head lice. So again, it's confusing. It's kind of like, yeah, it's almost like you say you have a large range of products, yet all I see is head lice stuff, which is great if that's what I'm looking for. But luckily, I've never had that yet. All
Hey, Brian,
right.
let me jump in. So the other thing is, again, to promote any product that's a solution, and the way people look for solutions generally is they're actually looking for the answer to a problem. So let's say you don't know about LieClear and you don't know exactly what to do. You know, your kid comes home from school and they have lice, or there's a notice from school that, you know, there's a lice outbreak or whatever, right? Okay. Like the first thing you do is what? You go to Google and you type in lice, how to get rid of lice, best way to get rid of lice, fastest way to get rid of lice, how to get rid of lice and make sure they don't come back, and probably there's like 10 variations on that, right? If it was me, I'd have pages, videos, everything to assist people in finding those answers, whether they come to my site, whether which I would want to obviously get those separate pages ranked in Google and on YouTube, right? Because they're going to generate traffic for this, since you're going to explain to them, look, here's how to do it, here's the proper steps, blah, 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 but you need something that kills the head lice and kills the eggs. And of course, why your stuff is better than the other stuff. Better, cheaper, more gentle to the scalp, whatever it is.
Yeah, and one other thing too, I'm a bit confused because it's like, at first I thought maybe asset was part of just a name or part of a community, but it looks like this is an online store or an online pharmacy essentially, not a physical one, which is my hunch. But at the same time, at the very top, you say like, you know, asset chemist, your community pharmacy. Well, if it's online, it's not really a community pharmacy per se. So I'm confused, like right off the bat, if this is an actual store or if it's just online. And again, I hate this black text and stuff that you have right here. That's impossible to actually read. But so I'm confused as to that. And you know, you kind of kill your opportunity to really have a headline that says what you are. Like, you want it to be crystal clear in seconds what you are. If you're a registered, you know, online pharmacy, say that. In this case, you're probably only registered for the UK, I'm guessing. So make sure to say that. Say, registered on, or registered online pharmacy serving all of the UK or whatever region that you serve right there. And then maybe as a headline, give like your best features or your best points. Like if your best thing is you have it's like super easy to use an online doctor, mention the online doctor, but say what that is, what the benefits are. Like, what exactly is an online doctor? Is it a person that I can just call up and get a prescription from? What are the fees on that? How's that done? You don't really give like a good indication of what that is to someone that's brand new, or even like someone that might be looking for like an online doctor might type in a keyword like online doctor in UK. So make sure you try to target keywords like that in your title tags and in your content, because there's all sorts of different terms that people might look for. Like I'm sure some might look for online doctor in the UK, online prescriptions, or get an online prescription, or how to get an online prescription. So try to find keywords like that, use the keyword tool and such, pull up a bunch of those and make separate like pages or separate articles or even videos for each of those, using those in the title tags to try to get ranked for that. Like, how to get an online prescription, or how to get a prescription online, or how to find an online doctor, or what can an online doctor do, or any kind of terms like that that people might have that people are searching for. Try to create pages or articles or videos targeting those words to clearly explain that, because I think that will help a great deal, because that's the kind of thing that people actually search for. And in the title tag that you have it say, and I searched this ahead of time using the WebFire tool, you have it say registered online pharmacy asset chemist, which says nothing about the region that you're in. So this is only UK. Say that. Be specific about that right there, because if I'm in the US, I can't buy from you, I'm guessing. I can't get a prescription from you, I'm guessing. So don't try to compete with all those large places over keywords that don't matter, because you can't, because you don't sell to 99% of the market in the world. Focus on the 1% that you focus on, and make sure you target the keywords and stuff that are relevant to that right there, like, you know, registered online pharmacy and online doctor in UK, or serving UK, or some term like that right there, where it's much more clear on what you're trying to actually do there. You can also, of course, make sure that you have like the schema and stuff like that, because that can, you know, increase your chances of ranking and such, and increase how easy it is to reach out and contact you and such. I would also have, you know, instead of this lice stuff, which you know, again, it looks like you sell a ton of stuff, but this is the main thing that you should show off right here. Unless you sell a ton of lice stuff, you know, then maybe have like a separate page on just lice. And again, as Sean said, try to have like pages or articles or videos on how to treat lice, and then mention how this product right here is the best one out, and here's why, here's how it works well, here's all the stuff that they need, stuff like that, where you link to it within your store right there. But you know, eliminate maybe a bunch of the junk there, and just have a clear call to action. Like say clearly what you are in the headline, which is, again, you're a registered online pharmacy and online doctors serving, you know, all of the UK, but also have clear call to actions, like, you know, hey, click here to you know, get or fill a prescription online. You know, click here to make an online appointment with a doctor 24/7, or whatever it might be. You know, if there's certain hours, that's fine. Or, you know, click here to browse, you know, all our other pharmacy or chemist products, you know, there. The other thing too is make sure, you know, in the UK, you know, I'm told that basically chemist is used a lot more than pharmacy, although in the title tag you target pharmacy. So again, I could be wrong on that. You know, the term chemist really isn't used much in, you know, in the US, but you know, if your title tag says pharmacy, maybe make sure that's a term that people are actually using right there. So that's you know, a few things right there. The other thing too, for every individual product that you have, you know, make sure, like right here for the glucose test strips there, you know, that's the kind of product that, you know, if you're like a diabetic, or you have some other reason where you have to test your glucose and all that, people are probably getting a decent amount of those, and they're probably ordering more and more and more. So make sure that the title tags that you have are targeting terms like, you know, like you know, order blood glucose test strips online for the UK, or in the UK, or some term like that. You know, have it in basically a title tag. And then for, you know, each of the products that you have, you can have, let's just click one. You know, make sure that you know, a term like that shows up in, you know, in the title tag, and maybe mention, you know, order online, serving all of the UK, or some term like that, which gives you, again, more of a chance to rank for any one of those individually, as well as the main terms right there. So that's a few things that I would do right off the bat right there. Sean, is there anything else that you want to add in before we switch on over?
Yeah, hey, Brian, do me a favor. Just go to a new Google tab.
Sure. I actually have
one right there.
One right here.
And type in what is new on Netflix in December.
What is new on Netflix on December? Okay.
In December, yeah. Because I want to prove a point to everybody. In fact, you can put 2017 in, but it'll probably pop for that anyway.
Yeah, it popped it anyway.
Okay. Now, look at how many results there are. Now, why are there all these results? And let's look at who has results. You have Variety, you have Huffington Post, you have GameSpot. Down below, you have Digital Trends, you have Vanity Fair. Scroll down a little bit more. You know, you've got The Mirror, you've got Hollywood Reporter, you've got Forbes. I mean, you've got The Verge, right? Why are all these people posting this? You even have Mashable. See, and you even have Forbes. I mean, this massive business magazine. Why do all of these people have an article on almost the exact same topic? Okay, because they know the moment Netflix releases stuff, and as we get close to the, in case for anyone who doesn't know, Netflix is big online streaming services with lots of shows and movies. And they know that people are going to be typing in the phrase that Brian just typed in, or some variation of it. What's new on Netflix? What are the new movies? What are the new shows? What are the new releases, right? Because they want to know what's going on. Because Netflix, oddly enough, is a pain in the butt to figure out what they're doing, even when you're a member, okay? But they do a press release, and then everybody picks it up and does all this stuff. And think of all the traffic these guys are getting, okay, to their site to show ads, get viewers, and everything else through these simple posts. This ain't rocket science. They literally write an article that goes, here's all the cool stuff that's coming for Netflix next month, and here's the things that are leaving Netflix next month, and they get ranked and they get traffic.
And one thing too, an awesome example of this right here is, try to think of like, what would a person ask, what would they search for? So if a person's on Netflix, which pretty much everyone I know is, that has it available, a common question might be, what is new on Netflix, in December or next month or now, or, some term like that. But on top of that, what you'll oftentimes find as like a frustration is that, there might be a lot of sites competing over a term like that. And it might also be super confusing to see a list of like 100 movies when you're like, crap, I don't know what most of these mean. I don't know which ones I might like or not like. So if I'm trying to find a movie on Netflix, oftentimes it's really hard. And what I might do is I might go to Google and type in a phrase like, what are the top movies on Netflix this month? Or what are the top new movies on Netflix this month? And, you can think of, probably a dozen or more different questions just off the top of your head. I mean, there's hundreds of different versions of the questions, but you can easily think of like a dozen within a couple minutes. Write those down, and you can check to see how competitive those are. In fact, you can even use the keyword tool and such to see how many other sites are truly trying to compete over a term like that, and focus on the ones that don't have necessarily a ton of ones trying to compete. You can also turn around and turn it into like a YouTube video where, if you say, hey, these are the top 5 or top 10 recommended new movies on Netflix, if it's a real short video or a short article, people oftentimes love that, sometimes even more than the really long ones, because they're like, sweet, I just want to know what the top ones are. I don't care if there's like some old crappy movie from like the 70s that no one watches or cares about this. I just want to know what are the best ones, or even if it's your opinion of what the best ones are, stuff like that. Now, as to how that applies to your stuff, keep in mind you can do this in any niche, and people are asking questions all the time. And questions, we've had training in the past where I talked about, the importance of questions and the how easy it is to oftentimes rank for questions. Now, obviously, with a question like Netflix like this, there's a lot of people trying to target a term like this, but in the majority of niches, there's almost next to no one trying to target a lot of the keywords. Like, for instance, if you were to, like, let's say you sell mopeds, okay? Try to think of what kind of questions people would have. Like if you do some searches, you'll find that, there's different kinds of motors, like, 50cc versus 150cc. And a lot of people that are looking for a moped don't know what that is. I know I didn't. I'm not really a motor or like a bike guy or anything like that. So I might ask, what is the difference between a 50cc and 150cc engine? And I found out, well, gee, one's more powerful, but more importantly, this one holds up to this much weight, this one holds up to that much weight, stuff that's important, because if you had a moped that you wanted to have 2 people in, you could recommend then, hey, if you're looking to carry two people, or if you're a very big person, you'll definitely want a 150cc engine, or whatever the size might be. I'm not even sure if I'm right on that offhand. Or if it's like, another example is, let's say you're in the weight loss niche, okay? There are literally probably like hundreds of thousands of different questions that people have. Like, what are the best exercises to lose? And then basically ensure whatever kind of weight you want to talk about, like belly fat, arm flab, double chin fat, thigh fat, whatever kind of fat there is. People ask all those questions individually, as well as not just what exercises are best, or how to lose fat best there, or even like what's the best kind of food to eat to lose weight here. I mean, literally hundreds of thousands of questions. And what's cool with this is, Yeah, some get a ton of searches, some get a lot less, but the fact is oftentimes you can come up with a question, put it in the title tag of like your blog post or your article or your video, spend a couple minutes to actually answer it, and you don't need to have a super long answer or reply. In fact, if I have a simple question, I don't want to read a 5-page article, okay? If I have a simple question, I just want to be able to read it and quickly know what the answer is. So it doesn't have to take you a long time to make an article or a video or a blog post or whatever it might be, and basically answer the simple question right there. But what you'll find is over time, you're making like a spider web, like all these questions and all these terms out there, even if some don't necessarily get a ton of traffic, you're snatching and grabbing traffic from all over that you'll find even years and years and years and years later, people are still searching for a lot of these terms, and you'll randomly snatch guys that you didn't even know that you were actively trying to snatch. And if you do a good job of monetizing that well, like trying to push them to your affiliate links or push them to the products that you have, or even just having basically AdSense up or whatever you want, over time you'll snatch random sales and get random leads and stuff because you have a spider web that you can easily grow larger and larger. And it's not like you have to spend hours and hours and hours and stuff like this. I mean, if you spend a half hour a week writing up a few questions and the answer to those questions relevant to the niche that you're in, you can slowly start to get more and more traffic over time. Now, the next question that I always see guys ask is, well, what if I'm not an expert in what I'm trying to sell? What if I want to be an affiliate but I know nothing? Well, there's an invention called Google, and you can search the question that you have that you don't know. You can find the answer and then write the answer yourself in your own question. Okay, it's not hard. You can be an expert in almost anything. So if you want, like, for instance, one of the things that I'm an affiliate for is diamonds. I didn't know much about it originally, but I spent a little time to research it, and I made a site based up upon all the questions that I had. And it actually worked out to my benefit because I would then know, hey, if I had all these questions, a bunch of others probably do too. It took me some time to research and find all these answers. So if I put those all in one area, that'd save a lot of people some time, and they'd probably love me for answering the easy questions. Or even if you're not like a weight loss expert, you could Google the question, find a bunch of answers there, and just spend a little time researching what people are saying, and then give your own tips based upon that right there. Like, again, it's not difficult to become an expert in almost anything, especially if there's certain products that you want to be an affiliate in. You can even look at what other reviews are out there and see what people are saying, what the good and the bad is, and just point that stuff out on your own as well. So don't think you have to be an expert, because guess what? At one point in time, no one would be an expert on anything. It's all learned. You have to learn it from somewhere. So don't act like you have to be an expert to start with there. So moving on from that, we'll go on to the last site right here, which is a termite site. And this is one that I put the keyword, I copied the keyword title so I didn't forget right here. So the title tag that the termite site had was Reliant Termite and Pest Control, trusted across the DFW Metroplex since 1998. And this is the site right here. Now, the problem I have with the title tag itself is that, is that a search term that people are searching for? If they're searching for pest control, do they type in pest control DFW Metroplex? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, you could use a keyword tool or a keywords tool and probably tell pretty quickly on that. But my hunch is that a city or like term would probably have more searches, like pest control followed by the city or the approximate area of the city. Like, for instance, where I'm from in the Madison area, I could target a term like Madison or Middleton or stuff like that, or I could just do Madison area, which covers like a whole bunch of things right there. But try to do some research, find out what terms people are actually searching, and try to target that in your title tag instead, because I think you'll have a better time trying to rank there. The other thing too is, with all the bugs that you specialize in, or all the pests, you can try to individually rank for those as well. Because like if someone has, a rat problem or a termite problem. They might not search for pest control. They might search for termite control or rat control or something along those lines right there. And that can give you like some cool sub markets or niches that you can easily rank for by having a separate page or video or like an article on them. Another prime example was, this happened. It was kind of scary actually. So it was about, oh gosh, maybe 8 months back or so. It was at night at my house. I don't know, probably like nine at night. So, I'm in the family room. I think I was on my laptop. Maybe been watching TV, guessing just on my laptop, doing some work. I have my daughter upstairs, and all of a sudden I hear like just a shriek, like a super loud shriek. So I think that like she like fell or did something, or she saw like a person trying to break into the house. So I run upstairs, and there's a bat flying around in her room. And of course that was quite the fiasco to actually catch that. Eventually I was able to make like a makeshift net. I had like a tennis racket that had the strings out, and then I put like a target bag on it that I taped up and used it as like a net and waited for it to eventually land. And eventually I got it after like an hour. But you can bet at that point I'm like, crap. Well, actually prior to that point, well, like before I caught it, I actually attempted to but couldn't, and then it hid. Then I'm like, crap, I don't know where this went. So I'm on Google trying to search for like bat control or bat elimination, Madison, Wisconsin, or some term like that. And there's like a couple of sites that kind of ranked, but the funny thing was, it was like there was only maybe one site that actually tried to target the term, maybe two tops, like a term that were near me saying, bat can control Madison, Wisconsin. Now, there were a lot of pest places that include it, but I had to really dig hard to find which pest places deal with bats and which ones don't. And when I called, a lot of them didn't deal with bats. And on top of that too, terms that you could also go for are like emergency service or 24/7 or terms like that, because I was looking for a place that was actually open at night. So I was doing a search term like, bat elimination, Madison, Wisconsin emergency service or 24/7 or some search term like that, which probably isn't used a ton, but you can bet if you get ranked, if there's like even 1 or 2 guys a month that are searching, I guarantee there's a lot more than just that, but even there's only a few a month. If they happen across your site and they know that you specifically handle that specific problem of theirs, you're the first person that they'll call right then and there. And if you don't have a service like that mentioned, like let's say you do the service, like you have an emergency service like that, even if it costs 2 or 3 times the normal price, mention it, because it will pick up traffic over time as people look for again specific solutions to their specific problems right there. So it's great to go after terms like pest control and all that, but at the same time try to make sure to also try to rank for the normal stuff. I also see you had a typo there that went by. It looked like you spelled control wrong. Right there, commercial pest control, you spelled that wrong. Not a huge deal though, but I just noticed that. So yeah.
Hey Brian,
yeah.
While you're talking about services, the other thing that you brought to mind is, this super important, and a lot of times the people that own the business, which is in many cases is you guys, operate under the assumption that everybody knows what you do. Yeah. Like, oh, everybody knows that pest guys do X, Y, and Z. Well, I hate to break this to you, but those of us that try to avoid having pests do not know everything you do. Not even close. And if you don't say, hey, by the way, we do this, 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 and have separate pages and information about it, then we don't know you do it.
Yeah, and that's
it's just that simple. I mean, the people that are in an industry all the time are like, oh yeah, everybody does all this stuff. But the truth is, most people don't know that because, how many times do bats show up in somebody's house that they need to get a bat, or, like the other day when my cat brought a squirrel in. Yes. It's my smallest, most lethal cat brought a squirrel in the house. right in through the cat door, right downstairs into Sean's world. You hear the funny squeaky noise. It's just like in the movies. And, you know, the good news is he ended up killing it before he let it loose. Because otherwise, man, there's a lot of places to hide in my house. So anyway, I was, you know, I would have been doing the same thing if I wasn't busy chasing
and that's
the cat and the squirrel with a broom in a box.
And that's the kind of thing right there. Like, I'm sure there's a lot less cases of like a squirrel inside a house compared to like a bat. But, you know, people might like, you know, I'm sure if Sean didn't find the squirrel initially, you know, he probably would be calling places that do, you know, squirrel removal or stuff like that. I mean, that's probably, that happens probably a lot less than bats and stuff. But the other thing with that is, you might think, well, there's probably not a ton of clients that, you know, have a bat in the house. In this case, it was like the house was sealed up just fine, but apparently there was like a tiny crack in one of the chimneys where it somehow got in, and somehow they think snuck through. I mean, very hard to get in. You know, what happens is, even though I'm sure they don't have a ton of people each month searching for like a 24/7, you know, after-hour bat control place, that can lead to a lot of money, because not only, you know, could you hire them to find and remove the bat, but on top of that, what happens after that? They probably have to do an inspection to possibly seal places around your house. Like in my case, they found like a teeny crack that you never think a bat could get in, but somehow it did, on top of the chimney. Then somehow it like got in through like another area. Well, so, you know, the removal of a bat, you know, it would cost some right there, but to seal the chimney, you know, we're talking several $100s more to do that fix right there. Like I think of that, there's probably like a $600 fee for them to set the trap and do the chimney stuff, to seal it, to make sure that there weren't any other bats, and stuff like that. But then on top of that, you know, they also inspect stuff like the attic and whatnot, and they look at the insulation, and, you know, and like that's one too where I found out, and I would have never guessed this, that the pest control and bat place also does insulation. So if they find that you don't have enough, you can hire them to put more insulation in, which I would never have thought of that, but, you know, that's thousands of dollars more that they could possibly get from just you ranking for a simple, easy term that you think might initially only be worth a couple $100 for, you know, a client, could in some cases lead to thousands. That's why it's important to basically do stuff like that right there. The other thing that I do on your site is, if you offer an emergency service like that, say so. Like on the top right, you say call, you know, this number, you have an email. If you have a service, even if you charge more, or you want to add one where you charge more, which I think would be a smart thing, mention it right up there too. Say, you know, special after-hour emergency service, call or text here. You know, even like a text can work well too. Even offering them to essentially text you can work well too. But mention that you have an after-hours service if need be. That's especially important too if you deal with any kind of business that tends to have emergencies like electrical, bugs and pests, you know, water leaks or furnaces or anything like that. Just mentioning that you have an after-hours number right there can help a great deal. The other thing too is, I would also do a better job of mentioning, you know, what your location is, because not only does it make it more obvious to a user, because like when I was searching for a bat place, a lot of the places that were ranked on page 1 weren't really in my general area, because there wasn't enough people trying to target the keywords I was trying to actually search for. So it would take me like a couple minutes to find and see, okay, well, this guy is like 2 hours away, so that's probably not a good match there. But make it real obvious where you are right there. And also, I'm not a big fan of the large, huge picture you have there, because again, people don't want to sit through and see what you have. I like sites that tend to have like a headline, maybe a handful of bullet points saying everything that you do, and then also have, again, as we said, the individual pages on each thing that you do, and pinpoint those, you know, in the title tags to say, hey, bat removal for Madison area, or whatever area you know, you're in right there, and pinpoint that exact area right there. And the other thing too, I see Scrolling down here, and again, with the area that you say here, I would probably try to target like maybe some of the closest ones you have right there, and mention this city or the town itself. Make sure you have a schema too, especially the local business one. That will help a great deal right there. The other thing, what was I saw? So if I click on, yeah, so for each of these right there, have again a separate page, like let's say the house rat one. So here you basically talk about a house rat and all that right there, but on this page you make the mistake of not mentioning the local area. So this is great if you're trying to rank for like house rat and how to get rid of a house rat, but maybe mention something relevant about your service and the location of it and where you can help right there. So you have a chance of ranking pages and stuff like that right there. But again, for each of these, you'll want to try to basically target like rat removal or rat control, followed by the local area that you basically deal with right there. And again, the more of that you can try to basically target, the better chance. I see you don't do bats. It doesn't look like, unfortunately, so I could not have used you. But yeah, all sorts of nasty stuff you deal with. So that's all good right there. Trying to see if I can think of any, if I can see it. Oh, yeah. One thing that I saw too on your costs. So I'll click down here. So it looks like it gets a little confusing. So first you have, you say it starts at basically $50, which is great right there. I'm sure that'd be an appealing price. But then you talk about like a standard 365 versus 180 versus the standard and the premium, and it gets confusing with the way you list it as to what's kind of what. And I would make that like a little easier to read, like say, hey, these are the packages we have. We have the standard and the pro, and say the pro also includes these extra bugs on top of all the bugs in in the standard. But then when you have, it looks like you have a yearly package and stuff. Maybe say we also have yearly deals and discounts where if you want your house to be completely bug free or whatever free for the entire year, you can sign up and save right here. So it has all the info right here. It's just a little hard to like kind of see it. Like again, you want to have it so if a person views your website for like just a few seconds or so, you want them to get a clear idea of what it is you have and what it is you're basically offering. Now, you can have all this stuff elsewhere, but you want to make it that if they click on it, you want it to be crystal clear, like what your prices are. Like you don't really have it pop out. So that's one thing that I would change right there. Sean, is there anything else on your end on this page or the site?
No, I think that's good.
All right, and again, each time for every page you have, make sure to target it back to the local area as well. And I think that will probably give you your biggest boost, and in terms of getting like traffic and such. And even if you make some videos on YouTube and stuff, try and target some local terms as well. That could help as well, like how to remove a scorpion from such and such pest control in yada yada place. So that could help right there. And again, make sure you have schema and all that right there. And that should all be a good start for you right there. So with that, I think that was the last site that we had. So we'll move to the Q&A, then we'll give some cash away in a few minutes here. So just going to pause the screen as I switch on back. All right, so with that, if you guys have any questions at all, you can feel free to type those in. Then we'll do the cash giveaway right after. So feel free to type in those questions. And again, they don't have to be related to any of the sites. It can be related to anything. And with that, to get a chance to win $100 cash right now in a few minutes. You can go to the free Facebook group page at getwebfire.com/FP group. If you're not a free member yet, just click join. Sharon will approve of you probably within like a minute or two. And you'll see a post from her at the top, dated from probably about like an hour ago, so make sure it's the right one, basically asking what you thought of today's call. So if you leave a comment within that post, so try to leave it within that post and the right post, because it makes it a lot easier to essentially count. Just leave basically a comment asking what you thought of to today's call or anything like that. We'll pick a random comment in a few minutes right here, and we'll do the drawing live, and we'll give someone $100 cash over PayPal instantly. So if you want to have a chance to win some cash, leave a comment on Sharon's post asking what you thought on today's call, which you can see if you go to that link right there, which just forwards to the Facebook group page. So with that, guys, I'll give you guys a few minutes to do that. But Sean, have there been any questions or anything like that that we can answer in the meantime?
I got them all answered.
Cool. That was awesome. So yeah,
I know.
Sean,
but one thing I do want to mention, because we're getting some questions about when, let's say you have a termite company, right, or a pest control company, and obviously, you know, so I'll use the I'm a suburb of Atlanta, Georgia, and Atlanta, Georgia Metroplex has about 6 million people. And where I live is in Duluth is big enough to have to cross 2 zip codes in 3 counties. So it's a pretty big area. But still, there's a lot of big cities or towns or unincorporated areas or whatever they might be all around me with different names, Lawrenceville and Sewanee and Norcross and everything else. And when I go search for something, my first search term would be, you know, pest control Duluth. Now, if you are based in Lawrenceville, which my pest company happens to be, then you might not show up for Duluth if you don't have anything about Duluth on your website. Now, when you set up all these different pages with local search terms, you don't have to, in most cases, the competition is not so stiff, that you have to write 100% brand new unique page for every municipality. You could, in many cases, get away with and rank an identical page where you simply change the term in the title tag and the headline and down the page from Duluth on one page, then you make a page for Lawrenceville, then you make a page for Sewanee. And yes, Google knows what you're doing, but Google doesn't care because your competition doesn't have all these pages. So, and they're just trying to give me, the guy searching for pest control Duluth, Georgia, the answer to what I'm searching for. Okay, it's not like a mystery thing, but if you don't do this and you're just like, well, everybody knows if they don't find it in Duluth, they should search Lawrenceville. Well, first of all, nobody knows that. Secondly, nobody's going to do that. They're going to search Duluth, Georgia, and they're going to find whoever is at number 1 or number 2, and they're going to click on the link, and if it doesn't look like too bad a place, they're going to call those guys and hire them, and the whole deal's done, right? Because nobody who's looking for pest control is like, okay, let me search the top 20 places and print them all out and like psychoanalyze them to see which one is the best. They're like, man, I got bugs. They need to be dead bugs and go away. And I'm taking the first person in because to me, they're all the same. Okay. I know y'all, every one of you is better than the other one, but to me, they're all the same. Okay. And if you come and you don't screw it up, you keep getting hired. Okay. It's all that simple. So it's important that you guys, you know, think this through and do this stuff for yourself or for your clients, because you'll get a lot better results doing that. And now, Brian, we have some questions. Let's see. Christy says, great tips about the property website. I've got a house to sell in Greece, and we'll keep these tips in mind to build a site promoting it. All right, awesome. Stephen said he did do that for the 58 cities that they serve in the Metroplex for the pest control place. And Stephen, I'm presuming that it actually worked. You didn't put that down. Oh, by the way, and Ginny, who had the house in Portugal, said she's, for some of the search terms, she's number 1 or number 2 in Bing and Yahoo for the site, and working on getting it on the front page for some search terms in Portugal. There we go. All right, so Francis says, no, it's not clear. If you have 5 services or products in 10 surrounding towns, should you have 50 pages? Yes. Okay. It's just a math problem. And you just slog through and do it. And the reason you do it is because nobody else does it. And nobody else does it, so they're not going to rank for those terms as easily. Okay? Because Google's really literal. You tell them you're in Duluth, Georgia, they don't go, hey, I bet that guy wants to rank for Lawrenceville and Norcross and Sewanee and Snellville too. It doesn't work that way. Okay? All right. What else we got? Okay, this is a good question from Martin Bryan. A lot of these websites use mostly large images. Is it better for ranking purposes to have a lot more text-based content? Take it away, Brian. I know you're going to want to answer this one.
Yeah, so I'm not a fan.
Well, you just answered it, so yes was the correct answer, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of like the sites that use like the large images and not much text because, again, it does a few things. Well, two big things. One is if you have like a large image and it doesn't clearly say what you do or what you are, it's a distraction from really getting guys to know if the site they landed on is what they want. Like, people don't spend a lot of time on your site. In fact, if a site, you know, if a site was like you would probably consider them extremely rude. Like, they would walk in, take a quick look, turn around, and walk back. But that's just how people are, because there's a lot of sites that they'll basically click on, and the sites won't really answer their question, and people aren't going to read through and try to find the answer. They'll just click on the next site to see if it answers their question. So you want to have a clear and obvious headline, maybe a handful of bullet points, make it incredibly obvious what you are and what you offer and what you want them to do. The other thing too is the more text you have, the more chance you have of basically Google and such picking up on the text and the words that you're basically using to give you additional chances to rank as well. Now, having some images and stuff is great. You can have, you know, what's called like an image alt tag on those, so you can get the actual the actual graphics themselves to actually rank at times, which is especially important for, like, you know, an e-commerce store or a store that sells anything. So I'm not saying it's bad to have a bunch of images. You just want to make sure that you have text and stuff there too.
Oh, was that the end?
Yeah. So
okay, you kind of just it kind of like ended abruptly. Okay, great. All right, so that's all the questions. Let's give away money.
All right.
Somebody can do some holiday shopping for us and move on.
All right, so here's where you leave a comment right there. You see the post from Sharon about an hour ago asking what you thought on today's call. Just leave any comment you want, and we'll give you guys maybe 10 seconds, and then we will pick a winner. So 10, 9, 8, 7.
It doesn't take long to type.
5,
Brian is awesome. Sean is funny.
4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I'll just refresh the page just in case. And pull up the comments there. I'll see if anyone posted outside of it. There's always a few, just in case. All right, so some posted on the wrong one. That's okay. I posted one from last year. We posted just now. Interesting. Okay. All right. All right, so one's outside. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 plus.
And a reminder, you could only post once. I know you guys are excited, but.
Yeah, 4 plus 35, so 39. So I'm going to go here and do 1 to 39. Do you want to take a guess, Sean, as to the winner?
1 to 39. Let's see. I'm going to guess 17 because I want to be right in the middle. 19 and a half would be in the middle, I realize.
4, super easy. I like that. All right, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Jan.
Wait, now, so Jan, if you look like this, go ahead, say that.
Yeah, so Jan, if you look like this and you have a fly on your face, that's kind of funny. Congrats, you are this week's winner of $100. Make sure to mention your PayPal email in the chat, and Sharon will get that over to you right away today. So congratulations to Jan for being this week's winner. And again, just basically type in your PayPal email in the chat box, and Sharon will get that right away to you. So again, congrats on being this week's winner. And with that, guys, again, we have these calls every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And again, a whole heap of different kinds of training. Occasionally, we'll do some websites, that we analyze like this. Usually, we have like training where we basically pick like a certain topic and have slides and stuff on, but and some hands-on stuff too. But if you have any ideas or stuff that you want us to basically cover in the future, feel free to let us know. You can also check the prior ones that we have in the members area under the training tab. If you click on the Wednesday calls, you can search and see a ton of ones there that have all sorts of stuff, ranging from SEO to leads to how to increase the price point of stuff you sell to all sorts of cool stuff right there. So feel free to check for stuff that's of interest to you. And if you have any other questions that maybe pop up later, feel free to write support@webfire.com. So with that, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the week. Take care, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.